Hello everybody, I'm Logan Crawford and this is the award-winning TV talk show right here on Ebru Fresh Outlook. The latest tragedy to strike in Nepal, a U.S. helicopter delivering humanitarian aid crashes, killing all 8 people on board. The group was on a relief mission after a devastating earthquake struck the nation back on April 25th, killing thousands of people. Another strong earthquake hit Nepal this week, causing more damage and more casualties. Let's take a look at how you can help donate to Nepal.
I never felt all that special. But in the wake of an earthquake, we can all do something. When donating goods, it's hard to know what's needed. So now it's my turn to help. Aid workers can spend me locally, where I can help save lives. Someone is doing better because of me. Together, we made that happen.
And that is one of many charitable organizations that are trying to help out in Nepal. I am joined today by the Fresh Outlook think tank, Dr. Bart Rossi, a clinical psychologist, Gary Shaye, a Save the Children executive, joining us live via the DC connection, Jolly Amatya, co-chair of the Youth Assembly at the United Nations. And I'm also joined by Dr. Casey Rondello, academic director of the Department of Emergency Management at Adelphi University. Let's talk with you first, Gary. What is the latest in Nepal as far as relief efforts and what's being done to help the suffering there?
The latest in Nepal is more relief is getting out to these remote communities. More supplies are starting to arrive in country from areas around the world. We have goods coming in from India. We have other medicines coming in from Amsterdam and Dubai. We're still getting out to the remote areas. We're starting to set up temporary schools. So more work is on the ground, but we're very concerned about the monsoon rains, which are 4 to 5 weeks away. That'll make a lot of the places we're reaching now far more difficult to get to.
What about basic necessities like food, water, electricity, plumbing? Are those needs being met right now?
Some of the needs are being met. Again, we have many remote communities to get to. They're challenging the access. There's more landslides. The second earthquake has caused more landslides, road blockages. Help is getting out, but we still have to go beyond to make sure we have supplies in place for everyone.
So the major cities are okay, it's more of the outlying areas that are in desperate shape, would you say?
I would say we have to be on guard about health and sanitation issues, certainly in Kathmandu and Bhaktapur and Patan. We have to have shelter for people. Many people are fearful of sleeping in their houses. The second quake, additional tremors. So this is a race against time to get sanitation, water, hand washing stations, all in place, and it's worse in the remote areas.
Casey, you're very familiar with this area as well. You said you actually worked on building a hospital there or something?
I was a consultant to the Ministry of Health about 2 years ago as they were revising their plans for earthquake preparedness.
Now, is part of the problem here that the infrastructure was poor to begin with, and that's why we had such a devastating result from this earthquake?
Certainly, hopefully the plans that we discussed were ultimately implemented. But even in the most ideal of circumstances, the most robust emergency operations plans can't fully account for how people are going to react and how the government will be able to address the needs of the people. There's a great deal of improvisation that goes on in every country when you see a disaster of this magnitude.
One of the words that I saw struck you, Bart, was when Gary mentioned the fear that people have to go back into their homes. So they have the fear of this happening again, and it did happen again just this week, another major earthquake, and I'm sure the ground is still rumbling with tremors. Tell me what it's like for somebody who's gone through a horrific tragedy such as this to live now in the shadow of more tragedy.
What I think of first is post-traumatic stress and how hyper-vigilant people become. And they become so obsessed with themselves, they're actually fractured. They don't know how to get through the next day. So I'm concerned about the short run in particular. The long run will kind of take care of itself. As difficult as it is, people will get an idea of where they can go with their lives. But the short run, we need as much help as possible. People really need to be held and taken every day to do their daily chores. They're fractured. They don't know how to actually live their lives. So there's that emotional and that psychological component to this that I think is so important. We can talk about the physical problems and the difficulties. That's all real, of course. But there is the psychological and the mental health aspect of this, which is profound.
And we'll talk more about that anxiety that people are living through in just a moment. But let's turn to Washington, D.C. now, and our guest there, Jolly. Jolly, tell me what it's like on the ground in Nepal in light of this second earthquake that just struck this week.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Just when people and the situation was getting back to normal, unfortunately, another 7.3 magnitude of an aftershock hit, and that has definitely cracked open a lot of things that were improving in Nepal. And I definitely do agree with this, with our psychologist guest today, that it's not only the physical damage, but it has left a very scarring impact on the mental health of people. This has really affected the mentality of people. People are scared. Like I just talked to one young professional of Care for Nepal organization this morning, and he informed me that there was 8 aftershocks yesterday, and 2 of them I think was above 5 Richter of magnitude. So this, even though now, like, it has been 2 days already, people are scared to go back to their houses because they do not know what to expect. And this is really, yes.
Jolly, what is the biggest need on the ground now as far as you can determine?
After the second aftershock, which was 7.3, there have been various landslides, which has made it absolutely difficult for the rescue teams and rescue efforts to actually be on the ground. So right now is the geography as well that's not helping, but we do need immediate assistance of food, water, sanitation. We need tents, and like Gary mentioned earlier, we're just few weeks away from the monsoon, and whatever we have right now, there are the tents and everything. It's just temporary. Once it starts raining, it's not like here. The monsoon season in Nepal, like, it rains every day, and I cannot even begin to think how hard it is going to be after it starts. So the, not only the temporary tents, people need to add more focus on how we can make the shelters more sustainable, so that it is going to help them in when the monsoon comes.
Gary, how is that need being addressed with the monsoon season approaching, torrential rains expected to fall, people living, as you can see, in a disaster area from the video? What can be done? Is this an international effort? There's great proximity there to China. Is China helping? Tell us what's being done.
China and India are all helping. The U.S. government is doing quite a lot. But there's more need than there are resources. The UN appeal has been funded at a level of less than 5% to date. And as was just mentioned, the shelter needs are gigantic, because if people are not safe during this raining period, and temporary shelters they're living under tarps, that is not going to withstand the monsoon. Other things that are needed is to get children back into a normal routine. I know this past week we have set up some temporary learning, Save the Children has set up temporary learning spaces for children so we can get them back into a normal routine. Save the Children has also set up child-friendly spaces. But this is an effort for organizations, big and small, international agencies. No one agency can manage a response like this.
But look at Haiti, even years later after Haiti, and they're still suffering. You mentioned that the tarps that these people are living on are insufficient, but rebuilding their homes and houses and apartments is going to take years.
It's going to take years. I happen to have the opportunity to lead our Haiti response. I lived in Port-au-Prince for 2 years. There are many similarities, but there are also some great differences. The people in the hillsides in Haiti are usually within 3 to 6 or 8 hours of a road. The people in Nepal are 1 to 6 to 8 days, and with these additional landslides, with health facilities being destroyed, people who need any medical attention are not going to have access to that. There's over 125,000 pregnant women in the first earthquake affected areas. 21,000 of those women will require obstetric care. Where are they going to get that care? How are they going to get out during the monsoon? How are the helicopters, which we are using, all the non-governmental organizations are using now, how are they going to fly in the rainy season? They're not going to be able to fly. So we face huge challenges. Aid is getting in, more is happening, but greater resources are needed, and the rebuilding process will be long, as it has been in Haiti.
Casey, the folks here at home, the folks who are watching it, what can they do to help? What can you do if you're here in the United States to help?
Obviously, the first thing people think about is making financial donations, and certainly that's a viable option. I encourage people to ensure that the organizations they're donating to are certified, high Charity Navigator ratings, ensuring that most of
Charity Navigator is a website you can go to make sure your money's not being wasted.
Precisely. Charity Navigator is a non-for-profit organization itself. What they basically do is analyze the financial records and the spending of other nonprofits, and let individuals know what percentage of the money that they're donating is actually going toward what they're donating for, as opposed to administrative costs or marketing.
Exactly. Yeah. Bart, we talked a little bit about the hypervigilance response that people have in these situations. That can be long-lasting, particularly in the second generation, the children who are living with their parents' hypervigilance. It creates anxiety, It creates depression. So these lasting problems of housing and the corporal needs need to be met, but so do their mental health needs as well.
Yeah, sure. Long term, there's going to be problems, but crisis workers are usually very talented. They're very good at helping people in the short run, which is what we're most concerned about right now. But I guess my concern is, how do you get enough crisis workers into this situation, into the mix here, to make a significant difference? Because these workers are trained in the short run on how to help people and how to get them through the day. That's what they need. But I think there's a logistical issue here that goes beyond psychology and medicine, actually, which needs to be addressed.
Let's turn to Jolly. Jolly, tell me what your thoughts are as you listen to our conversation about the many needs that need to be addressed long-term in Nepal.
Yes, I know that at this moment, the immediate relief efforts are absolutely critical, but there's a big challenge coming up, because the schools were supposed to start, I think, a week later, on 19th of May starting, but due to the second aftershock, it has been shut down again. One of the most important things, education, besides the basic needs of our daily lives, education is going to be hampered really bad. Also health and all these other things. And right now, the temporary shelters, how about the long-lasting effect of that? How are people going to sustain that in future? That's a lot of challenge, and a lot of kids who have lost their parents, all these orphanages, all these schools that have been destroyed. We do not know when these schools are going to be built again, and when the education is going to be normal again. How about the highways that have been cracked open? You already know how Nepal is geographically challenged. Even though when everything was okay, there wasn't any earthquake, it was still a challenge to reach really remote areas, beautiful natural beauties that we have. This transportation has always been a problem, and now this seems absolutely impossible for quite a long time, and this is really disheartening and very sad thing. But hopefully, like Gary mentioned earlier, a lot more has been, last time I was there in your show, there was difficulty in even reaching to rural areas, but at this point a lot of things are being done on the ground, but still there are a lot of challenges, and we all need to, the government as well as all these international big organizations, as well as young people like us. I must tell you that the young people in Nepal and outside everywhere, they're doing a tremendous job collecting funds, running campaigns, and helping those grassroots organizations which have been able to do absolutely wonderful in the ground. So everyone's working, and we just hope, and we're just putting our fingers crossed that there won't be any other big aftershocks in future, and we literally do not know what to expect. Like I mentioned, there was 8 or 9 yesterday itself.
Frightening situation there, and we're going to continue our conversation with Jolly and the rest of our Fresh Outlook think tank after this. Our conversation on Nepal and the devastating earthquake continues. right after this.